Hey everybody, welcome back. Once again, we got another great Monday class for popping and breaking combination class. And it's good to see everybody back, especially after the school break. This week in class, we kind of reviewed our wave technique, just making sure that the kids are holding on to that, as well as going over the body wave a little bit. And basically just wanted to do kind of a review this time around, since it's been a week and everything, we've been off of school, no biggie. So that being said, the wave techniques that we worked on, of course, were the general parts of the wave, either done from here or from here, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to do it from here just so you can see all the parts. Fingertips, knuckles, wrists, elbow, shoulder, elbow, wrist, knuckles, fingertips as our wave review. So that'll be the first thing, is just to make sure we're reviewing the wave. The second thing we worked on was some of the footwork, like our moonwalking and everything. And the techniques that we went over for that were, of course, standing with your feet about shoulder width apart, and making sure we go forward with the left foot. And with these shoes, I can actually show you, and I'll get on the shoe topic in just a moment, but with these shoes, I can actually show you what the professional looking moonwalk looks like. But for those who are just starting to moonwalk, it's fine to be on the ball of the foot. And what you're going to do is you're going to lean your weight, slide back, post, slide, post. When you get to the point where you're able to balance and you have a sturdy shoe on your foot, then you can start doing the actual balancing from the toe and going back and forth like that. So I actually had a question, excuse me, from a parent, or not really a question, but more of a comment about shoes. And one thing I will say is, yes, with dancing, you're gonna tear up a pair of shoes. I usually recommend doing something like a $10 Walmart pair of shoes. Like, for example, these are like some Airwalks, but Walmart has a shoe that is similar to this, that it's flat enough on the bottom for like popping and gliding, and it's sturdy and supportive enough for your braking techniques, like when we do like the braking moves and things in the class as well. So if you're looking for a shoe, I would say hit up the Walmart, generic shoe aisle, because one thing, if you're spending $10 on a pair of shoes, the last pair that I had lasted me like 1.5 to 2 years. So, it's a good quality shoe. It's not expensive, and even though I was dancing on that shoe quite often, it actually held up for almost 2 years. And they're cheap. So if something happens and you come home and the shoe's broken in half or something, well, it's a $10 pair of shoes, and you can go to Walmart and replace them. They're easy to replace, but they're actually pretty durable, and that way you're not spending like 40, 50, 60, 100 bucks on a pair of Jordans or Nikes for dancing, and then they get torn up, So that would be my answer to that question. That's actually a very good question. But for now, the kids' shoes, I would say if they've got any shoes that are, low to mid ankle shoes, or something that's got a kind of like not a track shoe grip, but kind of like a flat bottom, that's fine too. In class, that's perfectly fine. It's just find that shoes that are a little bit bigger or heavier, like almost like boots, or have a really, really high rise part where they come all up the ankle, can be a little tough for them to move around in, because the ankle support limits their foot mobility, especially when they're doing braking moves. And other than that, the techniques and everything we learn, once they get to the point where they're comfortable with them, they'll be able to adjust based on the pairs of shoes that they're wearing and based on the style of the shoe they're wearing. So today's technique, actually once again was inspired by one of the kids. This one also goes out to Max Steele. So actually Max Steele and Dylan, I want to say Dylan, who's also known as Duracell, both kind of do these body wave techniques, and I just wanted to kind of expound upon that so that they can start sharpening up the way it looks. And what I mean by body waves is typically, you have your right to left, your left to right, and then sometimes you'll see people bring it all the way down through their body and bring it back up. They either go from both waves coming in at the same time, or they'll go from the front and go down and back up. So I wanted to go over that real quick, because it's pretty fun, and as Mr. Drew was saying, it's kind of like doing the worm, but it's pretty much like standing up doing the worm. And once again, this is a very simple technique. It just has a few pieces to it, and it can be learned probably within a few minutes, if not maybe an hour. So first things first, the dynamic of the wave, and I'm going to do it sideways so you can see it. with my hands in front, the same comfortable position that we normally deal with whenever we're doing, our waves back and forth, is the same position you can use for the body wave. This time I'm going to trace. I'm going to have both waves go up, so it's going to be fingertips, knuckles, wrists. See how my elbows come up? So I get this dynamic. So my elbows kind of come more out than straight up. Then my shoulders come up. So once again, it's fingertips, knuckles, wrists, elbows, shoulders. So then I get this look. When my shoulders come up, it's more like I'm shrugging and pushing them back. Okay? So one more time. Fingertips, knuckles, wrists, elbows come up and out at an angle. Then shoulders come up and almost back. And this is where we get to the part of the body wave. Next, I'm going to push the chest forward. So I'm going to push out the chest, which gives it that dynamic of, oh, the wave is transferring from my shoulders to the chest. Then as I go from the chest, I'm going to push down where my stomach is out. You can see my body starting to curve and my hips are forward. Then I'm going to roll like I'm sitting, so the hips come back, my knees bend, and then my legs are going to straighten up. And it gives it the illusion that I'm bending, and then when I come back up, you'll see it, and I'll go over that part in just a second. But the illusion is that when I get here, the wave is transferring through my legs to the floor, okay? So, once again, we're going fingertips, knuckles, wrists, elbows, shoulders back and up, then chest, and shoulders come down when the chest goes up, then stomach, then I'm going to act like I'm sitting, so then my hips go backward. So when we do stomach, the hips are forward, okay? Then backward, my knees are bent, and then I'm going to straighten up my knees, and it looks like I'm going to the floor. Then to bring it back, I'm going to rock back on my heels a little bit. And believe it or not, that little dynamic actually adds effect to the wave. Because when I rock back on the heels a little bit, I'm going to push my feet forward to a spot on the floor, which makes me bend my knees again. Then I'm going to push the hips forward. Then I'm going to bring my chest up, which gives it that curve. And then my shoulders come back up, elbows up, out, and expand. In full motion, it looks like this. Down, and back up. The reason I add that rock of the heels is because when you do it without it, it looks like the wave kind of stops at your knees instead of going all the way down and back up. Plus, that little rocky motion becomes the precursor for doing kind of crazy leg techniques. For example, sometimes if you see me freestyling, some of the kids have seen me do it, I'll do my wave where I'll go through the body and then I'll do like weird things with the legs, or even if I go here, I'll wiggle out and things like that, and that's all just shifting on the heels and balls of the feet. But it gives it that dynamic of the wave. So when we do it, we want to make sure we still go fingertips, knuckles, wrists, elbows, shoulders come up and back, shoulders drop, chest up, hips forward for the stomach, hips back for the knees, and then straight, heels come up off the ground, and then boom, heels down, knees, hips forward, stomach, shoulders, and out. All right? Well, stomach, chest, shoulders, and out. I apologize. But that is the dynamic. This move can, once again, it can be learned anywhere between 15-20 minutes of just practicing up to maybe an hour. It's actually one of the easier ways because there's less parts, and the parts that are moving are a lot bigger as opposed to like going all the way from the fingertips, knuckles, through all of these, small intricate parts of the arm. The body wave is actually pretty simple. And there's different things you can do with a body wave, but for now, that'll be the technique of the week. And of course, if you have any questions, whether it's dealing with the techniques we learn in here, wardrobe ideas. I mean, we have a lot of stuff here at Rockwell Dance Academy. We've got hoodies, we have sweatshirts, we have spin caps, for people who are into the breaking program. And even if, in this class, we'll be doing a little bit of both. We'll be doing popping and breaking. So we've got that. As far as like the shoes go, once again, Walmart shoes are fine. And we've got hooded sweatshirts, things like this. We have t-shirts up there. Just come take a look. Up front, we've got a lot of gear. We even have like bumper stickers and things like that for people who want to, support the school and, maybe flash on your ride that you have a future people or a B-girl in the class, a dancer, whatever it is. But I also want to give a shout out to Rockwell Dance Academy because there's a lot that went into making this school happen. And for those of you who I mentioned to about the video link, I will be including a link in the video section to a playlist. All of our kids, poppers and breakers alike, were able to go up to North Carolina to compete at a school-wide tournament known as Rock the Floor. Every year, they go and travel to different states, and they have these battles at Rock the Floor, and then the championship is held here in Georgia. The kids went up to North Carolina on Saturday, and they competed, and they took first place in several of the events, and also in the crew battles, they took first place. So if you see any of the kids from the crew, definitely tell them congratulations, and I will be sharing the link so you guys can take a look at kids who are your age, younger, and a little bit older, and how they do their thing from our school as well as other schools. All right? Have a great one. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll see you guys next week.